Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Thanks for tuning in again. Another episode of Maximize Monday. It's been a few weeks, but the holidays will do that. They change everyone's schedule. So I'm thankful to be back here for another episode of Maximize Monday. I have Billy Baumann with me from Spark, joining
Going on,
in
Matt?
to kind of talk about everything going on in the recruiting industry, which I'm no stranger to myself. But it's been a long time. I know I've had some of your team on before too, so it's always a good conversation to kind of break down what's going on in the recruiting world, especially in the packaging industry for sure.
Oh yeah, man. I'm first. Thank you so much. Big fan of what you're doing with your brand and your team and your company, but really what you're doing every single week, starting the week off with a little bit of motivation. And yeah, man, I'm extremely fired up to talk recruiting, packaging. Man, you're a life that you live every day. So let's
Yep.
let's roll, dude. I'm
Yeah,
I'm super blessed to jump
absolutely.
into it with you.
Absolutely. So things motivating for me for this week. So as you know, watching the show, I'm pretty into the college football scene. And while it wasn't the
Mm.
best season for Notre Dame, still a good season overall. But now we're entering into the bowl season, which is always kind of fun for me because I try to keep an eye on like every single bowl. So even if like it's the .com bowls or anything like that, it's fun to just kind of see those kids go out and compete one last time for a lot of them. So I always get excited for bowl season just because you kind of see what it means to a lot of those college athletes to this is the last time I'm setting foot on the football field in my career possibly. So just to see what they
Hmm.
lay on the line, that's always kind of a fun thing for me to keep an eye on. And it's college football, so I've always kind of preferred that to the pros anyway. So
Likewise,
this
likewise,
this is
likewise.
even more the reason. So it's a matter of pride thing, kind of like the Olympics and the World Cup, a matter of pride. So, um, that being said, before recording this, we don't know what happened to the U.S. in the World Cup. Unfortunately, Mexico was already eliminated at this point. So, U.S. has my full rooting interest at this point. Fingers crossed that by the time you're watching this, they're still alive and advancing in the World Cup stages. If not, again, great season, great effort from them. And, from not even being able to compete last time through to advancing to the knockout round, I think is a big thing for the sport of soccer in the U.S. So I think either way, that's a fun motivator. And finally, last thing motivating for me, if you've watched the show, I have some other podcasts that I do, specifically a pro wrestling one with some of my friends from high school, and every year we do one gathering around the holidays to do like a gift exchange where we buy each other like terrible wrestling shirts or terrible wrestling gimmick related stuff that we all just kind of keep because they're gifts and you can't get rid of a gift. So it's going to be fun to just kind of see those guys and hang out and pass around terrible t-shirts that maybe I'll wear on the podcast in a week or two and show everyone
Dude.
that was gifted this year. So that's the last thing motivating me in terms of goals for this week. So last week was a short week for me. I worked Monday through Wednesday and then took some time to go down to the beach, spend time with my family. So first thing, always coming back from first the holiday and then a short week vacation wise is just catching up, making sure that any emails that were sent to me with questions about open positions, open roles, or updates, especially during the holiday season where scheduling those calls, those interviews can get a little tricky, making sure that I'm following up on everything in that regard. And then my teammate has been covering for me for the trips that I've taken throughout the year. And then this week he is taking some time for himself. So I'm covering for him, returning the favor. So
Good. Yeah.
other
Yeah.
goal is just to make sure that I'm doing for him what he did for me throughout the year because I never came back to any type of mess or fires to put out or anything like that. He held down the fort for me, so I'm looking forward to doing that for him as well.
Dude,
Um,
that's exciting.
and then for the wins for the week before, what always seems to happen when I'm off is the offer letters go out, but they don't
Hmm.
get the official like sent out. So my teammate that covers for me has the last few times gotten to make those phone calls and get those offers out. But two filled positions last week. So even though it wasn't me specifically that made the call to get that offer out, it's a good conversation and a good thing for my teammate to get to do on that. And that still counts as a win for me, a win for him, a win for the company. So everyone wins in that situation.
Mm.
Win for the candidate too, because they get to start an exciting new career with Novalex. So wins all around. That's what's going on with me, Billy. What do you have going on in your world this week?
Man, first, I got to back up a couple things to the bowl season. I completely agree with you, brother. Like, this is one of my favorite times of the year. And especially like this whole college football playoff expanding next year, right? I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. but
Yeah.
I like because I've always loved, like, I always go back to like 2000. I don't know how old you are, but my favorite bowl game of all time was Boise State, Oklahoma,
Yep.
2005 Fiesta Bowl. I still like will just YouTube like ending of Boise State game, like, but
Yeah.
I would love it then if they had that like beat, like, you know, the old BCS. We didn't like that, but like how we're evolving. So I completely agree with you. I didn't know you liked wrestling, so you probably see like our champion belt that we
Oh
have
yeah.
here at
Love it.
Spark,
Love
dude.
it.
Oh, wait till you see some of the. We just had an office photo shoot. You'll have to see some of the content photos that came out because we have fun with it. But and then the last thing you said before I get into is um, a win for the candidate, a win for Novalex, and a win for, which ends up being a win for you. And that's exactly like what we look for at Spark. I always look him as Ray Dalio. I don't know if you follow Ray Dalio. He always talks about 1+1=3,
Mhm.
right? Well, how do you get a 1+1=3 scenario in your recruitment? Well, here's the thing. First, you always want it to be a win for the candidate.
Yep.
Like, you can never make, in recruiting, you have to be selfless. You
Yep.
have to be able to put other people to create an opportunity. It has to be a good opportunity for the candidate, meaning comp has to be there, has to be good for their family, has to be good culturally, because it's not just about the numbers. It could be a CEO of growth, right? Cool. If it's a win for the candidate, then is it a win for Novalex?
Mhm.
Right? Are they getting a good, solid person who's going to be there for a long term, right? And then
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a win for Matt, right? Because now you're doing your job effectively, creating opportunities, exactly what we do here at Spark. So yeah, I'd love to get into my goals, but real quick, would love to introduce myself.
Yeah.
My name is Billy Baumann. As Matt mentioned, I'm the CEO here at Spark Packaging. And us here at Spark Packaging, we are a recruitment and staffing organization that specifically and only partners with industry leaders in this recession-proof $1 trillion sector with their temp labor needs to full-on direct hire needs for professional, technical, skilled trades, light industrial roles. So it's funny, me and Matt, we're in like the same sector, but on different sides of recruitment. So just wanted to put that out there before, so people are like, who is it? What's Spark Packaging, right?
Right.
So we're a recruitment and staffing organizations. But to get into what's motivating me, there's three things that come to mind right away. First, if I have to look at it from the business lens for a minute, the number one thing that motivates me every damn day, Matt, is our team.
Yep.
The way they show up, the way they get here, the way they over deliver for our clients. Talk about, you just said it too, and that's where, like, I can just tell we're core value driven, where we align. I can tell by what you're saying is that we always look for 1+1=3 situations, right? Our team is consistently creating opportunities, consistently talking to individuals, talking to our clients, not selling, but like learning more about, say, hey, how else can we be of service, right? So my team motivates me every damn day because they show up, which makes me want to show up, right?
Mhm.
The second thing that motivates me is this industry. I mean, it is evolving and it is as close to recession proof as you can come get to. Now, I'm sure there's certain sectors that aren't, but
Mhm.
if you look around you right now, there's nothing around you, even the drywall on your wall, that paint on your wall came from a form of packaging. Well, what do
Right.
I mean? Well, that paint was in a paint can. That paint can had labels on it, converting, right? So this industry motivates the hell out of me every day because it's consistently evolving, consistently growing, which means that we have an obligation here at Spark to get better,
Yep.
to continue to learn and grow with the industry because it's not slowing down. It's not like automotive.
Right.
It's not like aerospace, right? You're always going to need packaging, right? You're never going to go into a grocery store and just get ham and they're going to put ham in your hand and walk out, right?
Right.
It's going to be in a package, right? You're never going to go like this morning. I got my daily bagel. I get my cinnamon raisin bagel, toasted with butter every morning. You know who makes that bag?
Right. I do.
Duro, Novalex, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So here's the thing, they're not just giving me a bagel, right? So the industry is so motivating because there's a massive need. So we have an obligation to bring people in from subsectors of other manufacturing and production that don't know about, like, hey, who's this Novalex or who's these other organizations that have so many brands that if you're a production supervisor over here, how can that translate to this, right?
Mhm.
You might not know poly, you might not know plastics, you might not know paper, but you know production,
Yep.
right? High volume, right? So it's so cool bringing people in and then giving them an opportunity to grow. The final thing that's motivating me is these last 30 days of the year.
Yeah.
And I think this is extremely important because this is the time that, and I'm talking from the agency lens here, this is a time when a lot of companies are still trying to hire, especially for salary level individuals, light industrial level individuals. But a lot of people right now, a lot of companies, this is when they throw in the towel. There's a lot of distractions around holiday time, and I love holiday time.
Yeah.
Not saying I don't, but this is where our team here at Spark Packaging have an opportunity to get that first week of January lined up for our clients to have a bunch of starts that first Monday in January. Because, and this is where we put the metal to the floor.
Yep.
And we have an opportunity to do this these last 30 days because job's not done, right? And that's what's really motivating me for this, for, you know, the next 30 days is just the fact that we get the opportunity to continue to line up the beginning of the year with new opportunities created for individuals that, hey, we haven't talked to necessarily yet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and you and I kind of talked about it before we started the recording here, and you alluded to it here with your team. And I had mentioned to you that I kind of see your team super active on LinkedIn all the time, you know, kind of talking about the rewards of working together, what each of them inspires the other one to do. So does that come from the top down from you? Was that something that when you build your team, that's something that you're looking for, and who's going to join my team? I want them to be this type of person that's motivated, not just to get their job done, but to work collaboratively and find ways that you can learn and grow from your coworkers.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's especially if you walk in our door, the first thing, because we're not a remote organization. Some individuals work remote off and on, but we're a mainly like in-office team. You know, so culture, and, you know, there's plenty of other companies out there that hire remotely, virtually. Nothing against it. It's just not in our DNA. And the minute you walk in the door, you see a basketball game to the right, you walk in, the music's playing in the morning, like our energy's high. That's who we attract. That's what we want. So the social, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, if you're following us on Instagram, like our goal is to be omnipresent. And that's a non-negotiable, because you never know if a candidate found us on Facebook. They might not know about, they might not be on LinkedIn. They might be a forklift op, or you know what? They might even be like a machine operator. They might be a lead operator looking to make that next jump to production supervisor, right? But they might not be on LinkedIn. But they might be like, what the hell is Spark Packaging? That's interesting. Are they a packaging company? Are they like, what is this recruiting thing, right? And then they see us on Facebook, right? So we have an obligation, and this isn't a directive necessarily, but I think it's leading by example, right? So you look at the top down, you see Dom, our COO and partner here, one of our partners here at Spark Packaging, like he's posting daily, right? But not just, hey, how's it going? It's, hey, let's give kudos to our team. Let's give tips. Let's give solutions, right? Not just, hey, work with us at Spark. And then, yeah, I think it's a part that of, if you're an account manager, part of your role is to, like, our responsibility is not to necessarily sell companies. It's to show companies like, hey, we're posting every day because we have an obligation, because we know we're really damn good at what we do, but we have an obligation for you to just to see us, because we know we can help you. And so being omnipresent, whether it's just me, Dom, Sarah, and Travis, and Jess, Taylor, Anna Lee, like Lindsay, our team does this together, because when you can start posting and you start getting name recognition and you start growing your brand, companies like you or other individuals get attracted to that. And we go by the mantra of know, like, trust. And you were talking about it. People do business and make decisions on what they know, like, and trust, right? So the more you post online, put videos up, actually show your face, not just stock photos of, we can all tell that's not a picture of somebody on your team wearing a hard hat on a phone, looking down, right? It's people do business with a know, like, and trust, whether you're going to the grocery store, the same gas station you go to every day, the same bagel place I go to every day. Right. It's because I know, like, and trust what I'm going to get. So it absolutely comes from the top down, and something that we're going to be amping up coming into 2023.
Nice. Now, another question I'll ask people that are in the recruitment industry is, because it's one of those industries that right now is one that people are trying to get into. It's very appealing, attracts a lot of people from different walks of life, but it's not necessarily one that, you know, when you're in high school, when you're in college, you know, you have the conversation with guidance counselor, career counselor, what do you want to be? Very rarely is recruiter going to be your answer. So was that something that you just kind of fell into, or did you know early on that this was kind of the direction you wanted to go with your career?
No, man. And I think this is like every conversation I've had with somebody getting into recruiter. It's like, how did you get into recruiting? It's like, damn, dude, where do I start? Right? Like, I fell into it. I got into recruiting. So in May of 2018, I started my first company, which was let's call it like an outside sales firm specific to the converting, printing, and packaging space, where we were selling multi-million-dollar building custom machinery for companies like a Novalex or other companies, not Novalex specifically, but where we're building out flexo lines, printing lines, other sort of packaging lines, whether it's blown film extrusion to corrugated converting. And over the course of a couple of years, I was talking with individuals, and we were doing machinery stuff, but the staffing side, when we're dealing with individuals, plant managers, for example, it's like, hey, how else can I be of service? Because serve others always is one of my personal core values, but also a core value here at Spark Packaging, which means I always have an opportunity. I always have an obligation to how can I serve you, Matt? Like, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. Right. And one of these things was like, dude, talent. Like, niche talent. Like, and it's different because a machine operator in our world is completely different than like a CNC operator, right? It's not really transferable skill sets, right? So a lot of these individuals were having trouble recruiting, and this was in like 2018, 2019, right? So fast forward to like 2019, 2020, we decided full-time, 2019, to go full into recruitment, bringing in individuals. And I had no background in recruiting, none. I just know that we have a pain. We can solve this problem. I know everything about this space. Now I just need to be able to duplicate the skill set and learn recruiting, right? So I took on a mentor who's now one of our partners here at Spark Packaging. And we have 3 staffing companies within Spark. We have Spark Packaging, Spark Talent Acquisition, and John Joseph Partners. But I brought on a mentor who helped grow my knowledge in recruiting, how to grow a staffing agency. And then we started adding on individuals, right? And now that we've grown into full-on recruitment and staffing, and just like our entire team, we do not hire anybody that with recruitment experience. Does not mean we won't do that, but we just haven't. And I don't think that's the MO, because we have a great in-depth training program, not only like recruiting training, but like packaging school training. Like we are involved with, I don't know if you guys do anything with the packaging school. They're a great organization. But all of our team members, like once they go through like first 2-3 weeks of recruiter training and orientation, how to use our ATS, how to use the system, how do you pre-screen, how do you interview? We do all those role plays, which we still do every day. Like even after you start, like that doesn't stop. Right. Because again, serve others always, you still have to be on top of your stuff, right? So with that, we do a lot of training with like packaging. So like all of our team members, after they go through recruiting training, we put them through packaging school training, intro to packaging. We're not asking them how to make a bag, right? But we want them, if you're talking to a production supervisor, or you're talking to a maintenance engineer, or you're talking to a professional, technical, light industrial individual in this space, you should at least have an understanding of what like paper converting is, for example, if you're working on a converting supervisor role, right? Versus a lot of general staffing agencies that partner with a lot of other packaging companies, because a lot of these billion-dollar packaging companies like you guys and other companies, they work with just a bunch of recruiting and staffing agencies, but they're not really working with many niche ones. Right. And here's the thing, there's a major competitive advantage to doing that. So that's kind of the long story short of how I got into recruiting, but also like, what do we do now to attract and retain? And our best team members that are coming from recruiting come from like service industries prior, where whether they were bartenders, they were waitressing, they were working behind a deli, for example, they were working at like a grocery. Like these are the great coming from the restaurant world. Well, why? Service driven, people focused, they have conversations. Let's just give them the skills. Let's teach them how to be a good recruiter, right? Yep. And I think people overthink things. So if you're looking to come into recruiting, right? Like, and I think it is an amazing time. And I'm talking from the agency side, because there's agency recruiting and corporate, 2 different worlds, right? But here's the thing. Like, there's a great correlation, because most of our clients have their in-house talent acquisition. They're multi-locations. Most of our clients have like 5, 10, 30, 80 locations across the country, right? But there's thousands of openings, and they only have like only so many internal talent acquisition, right? So our role is just to be there and support where we can, and continue to bring in good people in our organization. And that's the biggest thing, bring in good people. Yep. Right. And because a good recruiter is going to be service driven, people focused, right? Sure. On the agency side, people want to make money. Totally understand, right? Which does not hurt, right? Especially if somebody's coming in. But here's the one thing that I would always tell somebody coming into a recruiting agent and the agency side is if you want to be successful and you want to be really successful and whatever success means to you, which we, in our culture, it's really, are you service driven, people focused? You want to create opportunities. You want to create a better life for you, your family. You got to be willing to put in 60, 70-hour weeks.
Yeah.
You interview candidates, right? Sometimes the best time to interview a candidate is probably at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Well, why is that? Well, they might have two kids. They might be a single mother or a single father, right? They're working third shift or they're working second shift and they have stuff to do, but they can interview at 7:30 at night. You have to be able to be adaptable, right? You have to be willing to work off hours. You got to be willing to work on the weekends. I'm not saying work 20 hours on the weekends, but I'm saying you got to be willing to follow up with candidates, check in. Because if you're not that, if you're just looking for a 40-hour week job Monday through Friday, recruiting's not it for you. Maybe in other recruiting companies, at least not for us here at Spark Packaging, but that's okay. That's okay. You know, so that's a long-winded answer. I kind of went to Pluto for a second, but I hope that gives you like a little like my thought on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then last question, before I let you go, and this is one that I'll ask anyone, especially someone within the recruitment industry, because it's a popular industry people are wanting to get into, what's that piece of advice or what's that thing, especially someone who's candidate focused that when people come to you for advice, how can I break into this industry, or what transferable skill do you think I need to have the most to be successful in this industry? What's that advice that you give to them in that process?
I would say for like one of the biggest things that I think people need to be doing if they're looking to break into the recruiting industry, I think it's very, very simple, but sometimes it's very hard for individuals to do this. And it's network.
Yep.
To build your brand, LinkedIn brand. I mean, we've talked about, we haven't really specifically said brand, but most of this conversation has been around building your brand without really saying that, right? So if you're looking to be a recruiter, you're probably not going to be the best recruiter if you're not growing your personal brand. Doesn't mean you can't be unsuccessful. It doesn't mean you can't be successful though, right? So if you're looking to break into recruiting, first you want to find, like, in my opinion, 3 to 5 companies that in your space, maybe in your area, do some research, look at their social media, go on LinkedIn, look at all the individuals that are employed by them, creep the individual team members. We don't use the term employees here. That's when I say team members, it means an employee. We don't really use that word here at Spark. We use team members. But I will go through, I just want to provide clarity in case someone's watching, like, what the hell does he mean? But go to that company LinkedIn. Go look at all the individual people that you see work there. Try and find their personal social medias. Try and find their professional social medias like LinkedIn and see if you align with these organizations. And then network, build your brand. And what I would do is shortlist 3 to 5 companies in your area that you want to work with, or maybe even 3 to 5 companies that offer remote or virtual, if that's something you're looking for, and then start reaching out to them directly. Because you know what? What do recruiting companies do? What do you do every day? You're reaching out, right? So take the initiative to reach out. And here's the thing. I would tell people looking into recruiting is, if you're nervous to go to somebody, I will bet 90% of people that you're going to reach out to, if they work for a recruiting company to get interest in their organization, probably were in the same exact position you were in. They weren't coming from recruiting, right? And if somebody comes to me, which happens once in a while, I don't have it much actually, as much as I'd like. We've had it to where someone's reached out like, hey, I'd like to learn more about your company and joining it, right? Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because that means like, hey, dude, you have the initiative to reach out to me. Yeah, like, sure, let's take 5-10 minutes and just ask me any questions that you like. But I think the biggest thing for somebody coming into, and this is on the agency side, is that, are you willing to do what it takes and to be successful? And in my opinion, that's 60, 70 hours a week to be elite for a recruiter. Now, I'm not saying every day, every week, 60, 70 hours a week, but I'm thinking at least 50 to 60 hours is what it's going to take to really move the needle in your professional career if you're looking to become a recruiter. And if that's not something that's feasible for you, and it's okay, find the companies that match your lifestyle a little bit more. And there's plenty of other recruiting companies that you can ask them about, like, hey, do you guys offer remote? Maybe you're looking for, and you have to really think on too, is, are you looking to become a recruiter for a lifestyle? Or meaning, like, are you looking for a job for a lifestyle? Meaning you're trying to build your life around your job, which is cool. Meaning this is like, hey, maybe I don't want to work 50 hours a week, but my income target is $75,000 a year. Like, okay, talk to those recruiting companies, go through interviews, find out, hey, what are your making? Like, what are your top team members making here? Because everybody here comes in at Spark at salary, benefits. We're not a commission only company at all. We provide benefits. We do the whole shebang, right? So I would be asking these companies, but finding the right company that matches your like ethos, what you're trying to do. And if you're somebody that's like, hey, dude, listen, I'm trying to make a bunch of money and create a big impact, and a company that allows me to work 60 plus 70 hours a week, well, go find that company and ask them, is this possible within your organization, right? So I hope that answers, we could, again, we talked earlier, like for some of these questions, we could literally talk like 2-3 hours on.
Right.
So I'm trying to get as like quick and concise as possible, but yeah, man, great question. One thing I do want to hit on is advice for job seekers too. It's like, you got to continue to grow your brand. You have to, especially on like LinkedIn, especially if like you're in a niche. And I'll use you as a great example, right? Growing your brand doesn't literally mean like talking about packaging every day. Doesn't mean talking about flexible packaging. But you know what? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So with that, post about your personal life on LinkedIn. People might say, it's not a personal thing. Leave that for Facebook. I completely disagree. I completely disagree. Because guess what? Like, I want my clients, my prospects to get an inside purview into my life. I can't expect all my clients to go be like, type Billy Baumann in on Instagram and pull up my personal Instagram. I'd love for them to follow me. Sure. I'm not sure everybody would want to follow everybody on Instagram, but I'm cool with it. I would love it if candidates that are going out there just talking about, hey, it's Friday. I'm going out date night with the family, was able to execute this, and this week professionally. Hey, if you're out there, have a great weekend. Like, what's wrong with that? And because you become top of mind and you sprinkle in a little bit of what you do every week, maybe 10 to 15, 25% of your posts are strictly about, hey, are you looking for a job? Or strictly like, hey, are you looking for a recruiting company to partner with, right? You don't have to sell yourself all the time, but you can sell your personal life and then 25% of the time talk about what you're looking for. So if you're somebody looking for a job in the packaging space and you are in the packaging space, talk about what you do, talk about your shifts, talk about what solution you're solving in your plant, right? If you're a maintenance technician, for example, talk about, hey, this week, here's the challenges I had in my facility. 3-4 lines were down. Here's what was able to happen. We were able to diagnose, and some of your company might say, hey, don't put all of our stuff out there, but there's ways to go about it, right? So would definitely be a major recommendation. As you see, like, we're big proponents of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Billy, that was a great answer and a lot of insight, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I try to stress to anyone that asks me the same question. Networking is always going to be your best way to get your foot in any door. So build that brand, build your network, and you'll eventually find the success you're looking for. So I appreciate you taking some time to jump on here with me. If you're not, make sure you're connecting with Billy. Follow the Spark Packaging page, connect with the other recruitment team, because there's a team of great individuals. So make sure you're connecting with them, and have a great week. We will talk to you next Monday.
Peace off. Take you, Matt. Thank you.